Do you constantly lose your lures into cover, trees, lily pads, sticks, branches, or are afraid to even cast up in those areas because you know you're going to constantly lose stuff due to hang-ups? You're probably not using a brake when you're fishing. I'm going to show you how to do that. And if you stick around to the end, you can actually watch it all put together, catching a fish. I'm Captain Chris Myers of Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. I'm a full-time fishing guide in the Orlando area. I do inshore saltwater trips, and casting is super important in many of my charters. And I like to be able to cast up against structure, under trees, up next to shorelines, etc. Lots of people can't do that without getting constantly hung up or being afraid and casting too far away. I'm going to show you how to use a brake and exactly step by step what you can do to save yourself a bunch of money and aggravation. Every single cast I make, whether out in the wide open water or up near structure of any kind, I am using a brake. That brake is the same finger that is holding onto my line prior to me casting it. It is the first finger. I am going to put that finger right back in this position as the lure is traveling, and I can stop it. It didn't even hit the ground yet. I can stop it whenever I want to. I'm going to stop it during a cast in one of two places, either right before it lands where I wanted it to, like when it's a couple inches before landing. That will pull my line tight, so I begin with a tight retrieve, extra line does not come off, or where I see it going where I didn't want it to and it's going to end up hooked in some kind of structure, I have a brake. For example, if I was going to cast and it was going to go back in those trees over there because I threw it too hard, I put a brake on it and it instantly stopped. You can use your finger as a brake, or you could use the opposite hand. I could do that same thing by grabbing the line this way. I just don't find it as effective or comfortable to do. If you are a left-handed person, you are going to have to do that because of the way the line comes off the spool. You cannot stick your finger up there. If you're a right-handed angler, most people who are right-handed anglers never learn to use a brake with their finger because they can't reach it due to the position of their hand on the reel. So if I'm holding it in between my ring and third finger, or in between my first and second finger, you cannot reach up there unless you have gigantic hands and grab the line. This means you have no brake, and it also causes another issue that I see quite frequently, especially when we're in a hurry to make a second cast at some fish. You missed them, you reel it back in, you still see them there. When you're holding it down here, it causes you to either take this hand off, so I switch hands, reach up here, grab the line. You might recognize that. It's something you've been doing. Or to take this left hand and grab the line wherever it is, stick it under my finger, flip the bail up. If you notice right now, this line is still caught on the bail here because I drug it all the way across that spool. When I flipped it up, here it is, I flipped it up. Now I have it below the top of the spool and I have it caught on the reel, and in a big hurry, you don't notice that and you go to cast, wham, it slams shut. You're like, man, something's wrong with this reel. It keeps slamming shut. That's because you're opening this in a position where it was not designed to open. This bail, the roller on the bail, should be right there under your finger so you can grab the line with this finger. So under no circumstance do I ever take this hand off or take this hand and grab it. If I'm having to do those two things, it's inevitable that at one time or another I'm going to grab this line when it's down here, completely opposite where it should be, drag it across the spool, and it might not happen every time. It's definitely not going to happen even 5 out of 10 times. When it will happen is right when there's a whole bunch of fish and you're in a hurry to get to them and the bail slams shut. If you're lucky, the lure doesn't snap off and go flying through the air like I've seen countless times, but you're not getting to the fish when you want it to because of the way you were holding it. And that same grip is preventing you from using this finger as a brake, and it also doesn't allow you to slow big heavy lures down slightly before they crash with a huge plop. So begins with gripping it in between your ring finger and your pinky. Now this finger is above the spool where I can grab that line. If I cannot reach that line, I always take this hand, rotate that roller around, and eventually or quickly, you will never have to look down at your reel to do this again. Sight fishing situations, you make a cast to a fish. Okay, change directions right in midair. I get it back in, I still see him there. I still see him. I look down here to do all this. I look back up, where to go. You'll never have to take your eyes off if you just grab that roller with these fingers, rotate it around. You can do that with your eyes closed every single time. Now I'm in that position. Here's my starting position. This line is not pinched up against the rod. So now I only need to move my finger a tiny bit to get the line to come off. I'm going to put my finger right back in that position the instant it's going to hit the water right now. That prevented extra line. We have a wind here now. If I let this finger off, look at all that line coming off because of the wind. Heavy wind still coming off. Now I have a whole big sag in my line. So if I got a bite right now, I can't get the hook set. If a fish grabbed it, he could grab it, spit it out, I would never know. And now the beginning of this retrieve is loose line, loose line, loose line, loose line, loose line. Now it's tight. I just put all these loose wraps in here. High chance that sometime during the next few casts, when I hit those loose spots, boom, they all come off at once and they make the dreaded wind knot. That the wind helped blow the line off your reel and it helped create it, but the wind did not put the knot there. You reeled it up without tension and you made the cast that had them all jump off. Using that break, I don't get that extra line off. So even when the wind's not blowing, the momentum of this line flowing off this spool, boom, it still hits. Who knows how many wraps? 1 wrap, 10 wraps, 5 wraps. When you grab with your finger, it's 0 wraps. So I have 0 inches of loose line that continued to travel through my guides. It means I'm not making 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 loose wraps of line buried down in there. Because when do you get those knots? This cast went about 75, 80 feet. The knot will come on the next cast when it's 70 feet away. When those loose wraps come, now I gotta cut all that off if I cannot cut it out. I cannot pick the knot out. The other thing using this break helps me to do, especially in sight fishing situations, it allows me to make absolutely certain where my lure is going to drop in relation to that fish or other object. I'm going to say that on the outside, right on the edge of the shadow line, there's a fish. So I can't land on top of the fish. There was one right there. I can't land on top of them. I gotta cast past them so it doesn't plop on their head and scare them off. But I want to see this lure go directly in that fish's path, then drop down. If I cast out there and don't do anything, now I can't see the lure. I'm guessing, yeah, I'm kind of by him now, maybe. But I don't know if I have 1 inch of line in the water below the surface, 1 foot, 2 foot. I'm guessing. If we're guessing, we are setting ourselves up for the opportunity to, instead of put this lure in front of the fish, come at their eyeball, which is going to make them run away 100% of the time. By using my finger, even before I get the bail closed, I can start moving this lure and it never disappeared out of sight. So in a presentation to a fish, I want to keep this on top, pull it on top, pull it on top. I got it closed. Now I can drop it every time. I know I'm going to drop it exactly where I want it to, or not guessing. A little longer cast, pull, 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 close. I can reel it up to that fish. I could steer it left. I could steer it right a little bit. Boom, drop it in their path. When I throw out here and I try to do that same thing, I let it sink down, and now I'm going to try to get it back to the top by turning the handle. I get it on top, and it's coming so fast for me to get it up on the surface that you often overshoot the mark and end up scaring the fish. In this way, I can cast and make a nice soft entry, take my time, drag it up, watch it drop. So it stops you from losing lures up into cover. It prevents you from getting knots in your braid, and it allows you to perfectly place that to a fish or a target you see. That is why you need a brake when you are casting every single time. You want to combine your brake with a skip cast that looks like this, where you can skip it right up. Oh, there's a fish right there. Skip it right up into those fish the instant it stopped skipping. That fish right there grabbed it. You want to learn how to do that cast? Check out my video right here.